everybody doing? My name is Danny Bae. I live in Las Vegas. I've been with the ACN for a little over 10.5 years. I've been spending last 4 years working with the ACN in Korea, helping ACN expand in Asia and start our operations there. And I gotta say, it's an honor for me to be here in Munich, Germany, with all of you here today. I could tell you right now that out of all the events that I have attended in the last 10.5 years, I've never been to an event like we are in right now. This event is special. ACN Europe is special. There is a higher excitement and energy and vision and passion from every leader in this room like I have never felt anywhere in the world for ACN. You guys are incredible. Give yourselves a big hand. And I'm truly humbled to be able to be on this stage sharing some of the ideas and training thoughts and vision of what ACN has done and where ACN is headed in the next few years with all of you, because it wasn't that long ago when I didn't even speak English. Almost 18 years ago, my family packed our bags and moved to the United States looking for better opportunities. And I remember being a foreigner in America, not speaking the language, not knowing the culture. First 4 or 5 years in America, it was very challenging, and we were struggling more financially than we've ever had, even compared to living in Korea. And you know, when I was just a student and working at Starbucks making a few dollars an hour, a friend of mine gave me a call and invited me to my very first presentation. He gave me a call and invited me, and it was late in the evening on Monday evening, and I remember going to that meeting. Went into this small 2-bedroom apartment, and there was 8 guys that I didn't know. And he said, we're gonna go into this bedroom together. Now, I don't know about you, I've never walked into a bedroom with 8 guys before. I was a little nervous. I was the only one that didn't speak English well. Went into this room. 3 guys sat on the bed, and 2 guys sat on the floor, and the other 2 guys were sitting on their chairs in front of a computer. And one guy started clicking the arrow on the computer keyboard. And all he did was he popped his first slide and waited for a few seconds, and he said, "Did you get it?" And everybody said yes, and he clicked next, and he waited for another minute or 2, and he said, "Did you guys get it?" And he clicked next, and it was about a 15-minute presentation, and found out later on he was only in the business for a week and a half. He didn't know what he was doing, but that night, at my very first presentation, I caught the vision. I didn't understand a lot of things that they were talking about because it was in English, but I understood the numbers. And my thought was, if I could work part-time in this opportunity and match the income that I'm making at Starbucks working 40 hours a week, you know, that would double my income. So I got started with thinking small. And I remember going to a first training event, and some of the messages that he taught me absolutely changed my life, and I want to share with you right now. He said, "Danny, take a look at where you are in your life right now." He said, if you take a look at where you are, he said, why don't you compare it to where you were 5 years ago? And I started thinking my family's lifestyle 5 years ago and then, nothing have changed. We're living in a similar house. Our bank account balance was about the same. The things that we were stressing over financially was about the same. And I didn't think that there was anything wrong with it until he asked me the next question. He said, "Danny, if that's where you were 5 years ago and that's where you are now, where do you think you're gonna be 5 years from now?" And once he asked me that question, I started thinking about it, and I started getting scared. 5 years ago, not having financial independence and struggling financially was okay, and right now, struggling financially struggling was okay, but to think that 5 years from now, I was gonna still struggle financially, they started to scare me. Let me ask you a question. How many of you guys know somebody that has some type of financial problems they're facing right now? By show of hands. How many of you guys know somebody that's facing financial challenges? How scary would it be if they still have to face the same exact problems and challenges 5 years from now? And I started to get scared, and here's what my mentor said. He said, Danny, you can't change your lifestyle overnight, but you could change the direction of your life instantly in split second. He said, if you could change the tool of how you make money and how you make your lifestyle and how you make your fortune, he said, if you could change your mindset, if you could change your habits, you could develop some skills, you could change the direction of your life instantly right now. Now, I know many of us here are very excited and inspired to come to ACN International Convention here in Germany. I could tell you right now, when I went to my first meeting, I had a Nissan pickup truck. I don't know if you guys know a Nissan pickup truck. The truck was worth about $3,000. And here's what my mentor said. He said, Danny, you came to this meeting in a $3,000 pickup truck, but just because you got inspired, when you go out to the parking lot, you're not gonna find an S-Class Mercedes in the parking lot. He said, you may get inspired today, you may get educated today, you may catch the vision today, but your lifestyle is not gonna change today. But you could change the direction of your life today. And if you could just change 2 degrees and 3 degrees by adjusting and adopting some of the things that we're learning here this weekend, 2 to 3 to 5 to 10 years from now, you could live a life that's better than your dreams today. Let me ask you a question. How many of you would love to have your reality better than your dreams right now? 5 years from now, your reality, your life being better than your dreams right now. I could tell you right now, I couldn't dream this big 10 years ago when I was getting started in ACN. If somebody told me when I was working at Starbucks, when I had my green hat and green apron on, if you came up to me and said, Danny, 10 years from now, you're gonna be in Munich, Germany, in front of thousands of people, training them on success in English. I mean, here's what I would have said. I would have said, me no English. First of all, I wouldn't have understood what that person said. But even if I did, I wouldn't have agreed because I would have thought that person was crazy. I could tell you right now that my reality, because of ACN, it's better than my dreams when I had 10 years ago. And I know that if it could happen for me, it could happen for every single one of you. Let me ask you a question. How many of you guys have a dream? How many of you have some big dreams? I want to challenge every single one of you here today to think bigger than you've ever had. I know a lot of us have dreams. I know a lot of us came to Germany with our dreams. But what do we make a decision right now that we're going to think bigger than we've ever have? Stretch your dreams. Think bigger than you've ever have. See, 10 years ago, I couldn't even think this big. But what my mentor taught me is that, Danny, if you could learn to change your dream, and if you could learn to change your vision, then it will start to change you. See, if you could dream big enough, it will change you. I'll give you an example. If somebody wants to become an athlete, if they want to become a basketball player or a baseball player, they get a dream that they want to become a basketball player or a baseball player. They may not know how to play baseball or basketball, but guess what they start doing if their dream's big enough? They start practicing, they start learning, they start exercising, and they start building their body to become an athlete. See, when your dream's big enough, you change. I have a good actor friend of mine in Korea who never lived in America, who never lived in UK, who didn't speak any English, but as a famous actor in Korea, he had a dream that one day he will become a Hollywood movie star. So guess what he did? Because he had a big dream. He started to learn English on his own, started reading books about English, and he started getting tutors and taking private lessons to learn the language. Why? Because he had a big dream. And now he's been in a couple of movies with Bruce Willis and a couple of movies in Hollywood. Why? Because his dream was big enough to change him. I know sometimes when we're building ACN, a lot of times we feel like I cannot have success in ACN because I'm not like Mr. Bosch. I'm not like many other great leaders that we see here. I'm not like Art Napolitano. I'm not like George Zelicki. They could do it, but I can't do it. Here's a reality. Who I am 10 years ago would have never made it in ACN. Let me say that one more time. Who I am 10 years ago would have never made it in ACN. Let me explain why. I used to think negative. How many of you guys know somebody that think negative all the time? They're so negative, if you put them in a dark room, they start to develop. How many of you guys live with somebody like that, by show of hands? How many of you wanted to raise your hand, but your spouse is sitting right next to you right now and you couldn't raise your hand? I'm just kidding. See, 10 years ago, who I was would have never made it. I was negative. I thought small. I was shy. I couldn't talk to people. I couldn't be in front of 5 people to present or train. 10 years ago, I used to complain all the time. I used to tell my mentor all the time, I wish things would get easier. My mentor said, Danny, don't wish it was easier, you just get better. I used to tell my mentor, man, I wish there were no problems or less problems. He said, Danny, don't wish for less problems. Just wish for more skills. And I used to tell my mentor, I wish there were no challenges. He said, Danny, don't wish for less challenges, just wish for more wisdom. I realized that who I was 10 years ago would have never made it. I had to change. I realized that successful people, they think different than me. They thought different than me. I used to tell my mentor, things cost too much. He said, Danny, things don't cost too much. You just can't afford it. So he started to change my thinking. So what I realized that if you change your dream and if you change your vision, it would start to change you. I was negative, but now I became positive. I used to be shy all the time, but he taught me how to have confidence. I used to buy into my fear and doubt all the time, but he taught me that, you know what? Courage would never show up without fear and doubt. So you got to go out there and take the next step and have that courage. I used to look for stumbling blocks as an opportunity for me to give up or slow down or quit. But my mentor said, Danny, don't look at those as a stumbling block. You just look at it as a stepping stone and let it take you to the next level and go to the higher level in ACN. See, because my dream and vision changed, I started to change. And I'm here to tell you right now that if you and I could buy into the dream of ACN and think bigger than you've ever have, and if we could understand and buy into the vision that co-founders of ACN has for where ACN is going to be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years from now, it would start to change us. We'll develop the skills. We'll start to get better, and we'll start to improve in the areas that we need to improve for us to go out there and change our life. I got to tell you that 10 and a half years ago when I met our co-founders, I knew that I found home. I knew that this was a place that I wanted to spend the rest of my life being part of. I knew that this was the vision that I wanted to be part of forever. And I used to dream about one day being able to build a team of 100 people that could go to an event with me. I used to think 100 people would be a big deal. How many of you wish that you had 100 people here with you right now? I know many of us feel like 100 people is a big deal. But these co-founders and the environment of ACN taught me to think bigger and stretched my thinking. And it went from 100 to a few hundred to a couple thousand to a few thousand to over 10,000. And I'm telling you, if it could happen for me, it could happen for every single one of you. In the last 21 years, ACN has done an incredible job. ACN has done an incredible job expanding all throughout, 24 countries, 18 countries in Europe, marketing these products and services that's unmatched by any other company out there in the industry. And a lot of people ask me, especially when I'm in the United States or when I'm in Korea, they ask me, where is the best opportunity available out of all the markets that we operate in today? And I tell people all the time that ACN Europe has the best opportunity out of all the markets that we operate in today. Let me explain why. In the last 15, 16 years, ACN has done an incredible job being the leader and largest player in the telecommunications industry and tapped into the energy market. How many of you guys are excited with the fact that ACN has done an incredible job marketing those products and services for the last 16 years? and expanded into 18 countries. Incredible job. But now we're tapping in, adding on, in my opinion, one of the greatest industries to be part of, which is the wellness industry. And on top of that, with 2015, launching Illumina and tapping into the personal care beauty products. Now take a look at this. There are many other direct sales companies out there in the world, multi-billion-dollar companies. And I know of some of multi-billion-dollar largest direct sales companies out there. They tapped into, they tried to, their personal care company and their wellness companies, and for years they've been trying to tap into the service industry, telecom industry, and energy industry, and guess what? They were never able to do it. They were never able to have a lot of success. Why? Because it's more complex business on the operations level compared to being in the wellness or personal care business. But for ACN, because we are the master and because we are the largest and the greatest direct seller of telecom and energy and essential services, now adding and tapping into the wellness and personal care industry, ACN, in my opinion, today is the only company in the world that's positioned globally to take advantage of telecom and energy, and on top of that, personal care and wellness industry. Now think about this. How powerful would it be to tap into combined, what we heard with what Mr. Art Napolitano talked about today, between the wellness and between the personal care, combined industry over $1 trillion of opportunities. And ACN Europe is the only market where we get to participate in all 4 categories that ACN is going to be participating. Think about it. Yes, United States have telecom and energy, but they don't have ACN wellness products. They don't have the opportunity to participate in personal care yet. ACN Korea has opportunity to tap into ACN telecom products and ACN wellness products, but guess what? We don't have the opportunity to tap into ACN energy products yet because it's not deregulated yet. ACN Europe is the only market in the world right now that you could tap into telecom and energy and wellness and personal care in starting 2015. ACN Europe has the greatest opportunity out of all the markets that ACN is operating right now. What does that mean for you? What does that mean for you? Just like Mr. Art Napolitano talked about earlier, you are here right now at a perfect time. Ground floor opportunity like you can't even imagine. 21-year-old giant company that's more solid than you could possibly imagine. Opening up new areas and new products and services and tapping into new markets like we have never done before. Let me ask you a question. How many of you wish that you were here 16 years ago when ACN Europe was just beginning? How many of you wish you took advantage of ACN opportunities 16 years ago when ACN was just launching Europe? Let me ask you a better question. How many of you wish right now that 80% of this room was in your team? How would you feel if 80% of people in this room were in your organization? How would you feel? Would your lifestyle be better than what it is right now? Would your family be living a better lifestyle than what it is right now? Would your spouse smile more than he or she smiles right now? Would you go on better vacations if 80% of this room was in your organization? Here's the reality. Listen carefully to what I'm about to say. Some of you here right now, because of all the products and services we're adding, because of the new industries that we're tapping into, because of the new expansions that we're having, because ACN Europe is literally a ground floor opportunity, having the next generation of opportunities within the opportunity, some of you here right now, some of your organizations, some of your teams, in the next 5 years will be bigger than how ACN Europe is right now after 16 years of operations. Some people in this room right now that's sitting here as an executive team trainer, as an executive team leader, as a team coordinator, your organization will be bigger than ACN Europe size right now after 16 years. How many of you want to make sure you become that person in this room? How many of you want to make sure that you become the pioneering leader for all the great things that we're going to be doing for the next 5 to 10 years of time? Let me share a story with you. A little over 3.5 years ago, almost 4 years ago, ACN launched our very first country for the hybrid model with telecom and wellness products in South Korea. And I gotta tell you that it's South Korea because I realize in Germany, a lot of people are concerned if you're from North Korea. I hopped on a taxi yesterday morning from the airport, going to the hotel. He said, "Where are you from?" I said, "Korea." He got scared. I said, "From where? South or north?" I said, "From south." He's like, okay, then we could talk now. So I'm from South Korea. So ACN, almost 4 years ago, we launched South Korea as our first hybrid model. And let me tell you, 3.5 years ago, this is February of year 2011, we had our very first regional event in South Korea. We had 350 people there. 350 people. Now, I got to tell you, I was embarrassed because the room had 1,200 seats. I mean, I'm laughing now. I wasn't laughing 3.5 years ago. You see who's on stage. You see who's on screen. My Cupids. We're having our very first regional event in South Korea. Room of 1,200 chairs with Mr. Mike Cupids, our co-founder. They're present, and we only had 350 people there. I was pretty embarrassed. But let me tell you how powerful hybrid model with ACN is. In short 3.5 years, August of year 2014, just 2 months ago, we had our co-founder president, Mr. Greg Provenzano, in Korea. And short 3.5 years later, we had 10,000 people attending ACN South Korea convention. Let me ask you a question. If ACN Korea, who doesn't have the 16 years of track record that ACN Europe does, if ACN Korea, who doesn't have the success stories that you and I could see and promote in ACN Europe right now, we have many SVPs, we have many RVPs, we have incredible leaders in this market that you and I could promote and talk about and share their story and share their inspiration and motivation with other representatives in ACN Europe. Without all those, if they could, just with telecom and wellness products, in a ground floor opportunity of Korea, if they could go from 350 people convention to 10,000 people convention, with already thousands of people attending here in Munich, Germany in year 2014, October, ACN getting ready to launch the new personal care products, and what amount of success we already had with Benevita, and launch of Crunch Bar that just happened last month, and all the new success stories that's being created right now. What do you think is going to happen to ACN Europe 3.5 years from now? How many of you guys could see that your organization could have 10,000 people at ACN International Conventions in the next 3, 4, 5 years down the road? If you believe that you can make that happen, give yourselves a big hand. You could be the main success story with all the great things that ACN is going to be doing for the next 3 to 5 years of time. I truly believe ACN will grow more in the next 3 to 5 years as a company worldwide than we've done in the last 20 years combined. There's better things happening in ACN than ever before. The quality of leaders that's getting involved with ACN opportunity right now is better than it's ever been. The type of leaders that's been here for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, we're more excited, we're more seasoned, we're more skilled, we're more inspired and motivated than we've ever been. Doesn't matter if you've been here for 10 or 20 years. And because of the growth that we have, because of the hybrid model that ACN has proven to make it work out in South Korea and now in Mexico and now in Europe, amount of success stories that's been created in Korea in the last 3.5 years is absolutely amazing. Changing people's lives. I could tell you some of these stories. The gentleman all the way to the top left, he was an entrepreneur, but he was tired of what he was doing. He was with one business venture for 15 years, but not really growing, but just going through the motions. You guys know people like that? They just do it because that's all they know how to do. He got involved in ACN 3.5 years ago. Got started in ACN. Became a regional vice president, literally within 5.5 months of being with ACN. Became a senior vice president within 11 months of being with ACN. Now, little after 3 years and 4 months he's been with ACN, he already has a senior vice president in his organization, helped a lot of people to become regional vice presidents and changing people's lives. And he loves cars. Anybody here love cars? You guys like cars? Cars are not the most important things in the world, but I'd rather drive a safer, more powerful car than not. How many of you ever had a car where the passenger side, there's a sign, no airbag? That was my Nissan pickup truck. I used to drive a car that had no airbag on the passenger side. You start driving some of these nice cars, they talk back to you every time you're tired. They vibrate your chair every time you get tired. It's unbelievable. But anyways, 3.5 years ago, he was living an average lifestyle, and today, just literally 6 months ago, he went out there and bought his dream car that he's been dreaming of for 15 years, but he never thought that he could have. He was able to purchase it for himself within 3 years of being in ACN, which is SLR F1 McLaren. How many of you could agree with me that's a big lifestyle change? I could tell you the gentleman that's standing right there with the Ferrari Scuderia at the bottom right. He was a professor, part-time professor. 3 years ago when I met him, he was driving Kia. A lot of you in Europe don't even know who Kia is. And he was making less than $3,000 a month. Less than $3,000 a month as a part-time professor. He just got married a little over 1.5 years ago. Just had his son born just 3 months ago. And now he's driving a Ferrari. He just bought his wife a BMW as a present. They just moved into a beautiful house a couple of months ago. His lifestyle changed in less than 3 years of time. And I could tell you story after story after story of so many people's lives changing for better in less than 3 years of time. And I see that happening in ACN Europe more than ever before. I know a lot of it already happened in the last 16 years. I know so many great leaders in Europe have already proven that ACN model works. I'm just here to tell you that ACN model is about to work bigger and better than it's ever been. I'm telling you right now, next 3 to 5 years, there will be more success stories created in ACN Europe than you've ever seen in the last 16 years combined. How many of you guys believe that with me? ACN is going to bigger places than we've ever been. And it's your time. And I'm so excited about ACN Benevita product line, I gotta tell you. I know Europe got to launch ACN Benevita products, and ACN Korea, we have Benevita products. And I'm somewhat embarrassed to share this, but I wanna share it because it's the truth. This is me, year 2013. And this is me now. This is before and after Benevita. I've lost a lot of kilos in the last 12 months of time. You're not clapping. I guess you don't agree that I look better than I used to look last year. I feel better than I've ever had. Yes, it's great to make a lot of money, but you got to be healthy and you got to look good. How many of you think I look good right now? Only half of you. Thank you for the other half. Wait for one more year. Since the Crunch Bar came out, I've completely changed my lifestyle. See, when we had to shake it, I disciplined myself and I got on a program where I was replacing a meal a day or two with shaken, and that was fine. But you know where I was ruining my life's routine and lifestyle? Was I'll get hungry and I'll start snacking. It's the potato chips. It's the cheesecakes, and it was different snacks that was ruining my lifestyle. But I was so excited when I found out that Crunch Bar was gonna launch, because I was able to replace all my snacks and all my junk food with Crunch Bar. And I gotta tell you, I mean, Crunch Bar tastes better than majority of snacks and chocolate cakes out there in the market. Would you guys agree with that? And so now you hop in my car in Korea or Las Vegas, I could tell you that I have 5 to 10 different Crunch Bars all the time. Because anytime on my way to a meeting or anytime on my way to do anywhere, if I get hungry at all, I just start eating a Crunch Bar. And it gives me energy, and it gives me fulfillment, and I get satisfied, and I'm cutting down on all these unhealthy snacks that I used to eat all the time. Next 12 more months, I believe that I'm going to be thinner. I'm going to be looking better. I can't wait to go to Aruba. I can't wait to see all of you. Who's going to be in Aruba with us in year 2015? If not Aruba, maybe the year after, RVP Retreat. Look forward to seeing all of you guys there in the near future. But how does all that happen? I shared a lot of stories about Korea and what's happening out in the market, because I truly believe that ACN Europe is going to have bigger growth in the next 3.5 years of time. But now let's talk about how. Let's talk about how you could take advantage of this. Let's talk about how you truly could have 50%, 70%, 80% of a room like this in the next couple years of time. It starts with commitment. It starts with commitment. See, I used to not have the right definition of commitment. My mentor said, Danny, true commitment is when you have a commitment that's unconditional, and number 2, have no expiration date. See, a lot of people make commitments, but it's conditional. A lot of people make commitments, but they have an expiration date. Let me give you an example. I've been married for 8.5 years. I've been with my wife, we've been together for 13.5 years. I tell my wife all the time, if you ever leave me, I'm going with you. She ain't going nowhere. If she does, I'm going with her. But imagine this, 8.5 years ago, we were getting married. Imagine the priest or whoever's getting us married, and imagine they said, do you accept Yoon Jung as your wife? Imagine if I said, I would accept her as my wife. Yes, I do. In condition of her doing this and this and this, her making sure that I have the healthiest breakfast every morning, making sure that she does this and this and this. What if I put a condition before I said I do? Would that wedding have happened, yes or no? No. Can you imagine, I'm getting married and they ask me a question, do you accept Yoon Jung as your wife? And I say, I do, for next 2 years and 9 months. How would that have gone? Not good at all. See, true commitment is when it's unconditional. It doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter what happens. That commitment doesn't get broken. Doesn't matter if something doesn't happen for 6 months or 12 months or 2 years or 5 years or 10 years down the road. It has no expiration date. Ask yourself this question: how big is your dream, and what kind of commitment have you made towards your dreams? What if some things don't happen the way you plan next 6 months down the road? What if some of the plans that you set for yourself doesn't happen in the next 90 days? See, I'll tell you right now that I know we all have dreams, but there are dream stealers out there. Let me tell you 3 types of dream stealers out there that you're going to face all the time. Number 1 is people. How many of you guys know people? Let me tell you 2 types of people that will try to steal your dream all the time. The first type of people that will try to steal your dream all the time are people that are jealous of you and they don't want to see you succeed. How many of you guys know people like that? I had a friend that, he was my best friend in high school. As soon as that guy started in the industry, he stopped answering my phone calls and he started telling all the friends that I was doing something weird and they shouldn't answer my call. There's some friends out there And I used to get hurt, but what my mentor taught me is that, Danny, realize that true friends are people who knows everything about you and still like you. If they like you or if they don't like you because you're doing something or because you're not doing something, they're not your true friends. They only like you right now for what you do and what you don't do, but as soon as that changes, they're not going to like you anymore. See, it helped me to realize who my true friends are. But there are people out there, they don't want you to succeed. Let me ask you a question. If they don't want you to succeed, should you pay attention to their opinions, yes or no? No. Second type of dream stealers that you're going to run into in a people form are people who love you and care about you, but they just have no clue. They just don't know anything about opportunities. They don't have any business sense. They don't have a clue. That was my dad. I saw my very first presentation. They told me not to say anything when I go home because I haven't been trained yet. I haven't been launched yet. I got home. I was still living with my parents. My dad said, "Where were you?" I said, "They told me not to tell you." He said, "Danny, you're my son. You're going to sit down and tell me where you've been." I said, "They told me not to talk about it." He said, "Danny, if you don't tell me, you're not eating dinner." I said, "Okay, I'll tell you now." I got a napkin, I got a pen out. I said, "Dad, look, I drew a circle. This is me." I drew 3 other circles. I said, "One of them could be you." I started drawing a bunch of circles. I said, "Dad, I know we've been in America for 5 years. I know we're struggling financially right now. I found an opportunity. I found a vehicle that's going to retire us. I now understand why we moved to America. Dad, I'm going to retire you from working at dry cleaners. I'm going to buy you a Mercedes. We're going to be millionaires." And I started telling him all these kinds of things. Now, my dad loves me. My dad cared about me. However, he had no clue. Guess what he said? First question he asked, he said, "Did you already pay?" I said, "Yes, sir." Second question he asked, "Do you have the person's phone number?" I said, "Yes, sir." Third thing he told me, he didn't ask, he told me was, "You better call that person and get your money back because those things never work." My dad was so negative and so against me doing this. Literally a couple weeks and few weeks into it, he told me he will kick me out of the family if I continue with ACN opportunity. He loves me, he cares about me, but guess what? He didn't have what? He didn't have a clue. He just didn't know. People don't know what they don't know. But today, anybody goes over to my dad's house. Anybody goes over to my parents' house, you know what he does? He pulls out ACN magazines. He pulls out ACN DVDs. He's got an ACN keychain. He's got an ACN bag. He's got an ACN pen. He's got an ACN hat. He's on ACN phone service. He's on ACN TV service. He's eating Benevita as breakfast. And he tells every person that comes over to the house, "I always knew my boy was going to make it." And you know what's funny? He doesn't even remember being negative. He doesn't remember. He always tells me, "I told you." So here's a reality. Your dream stealers, they may try to steal your dreams, that care about you and love you, but they just don't have a clue. They won't even remember being negative when you become a regional vice president. And if they're not going to remember anyways, why would you pay attention to what they say? Don't pay attention to those dream stealers. Don't pay attention to those dream stealers. Don't pay attention to those dream stealers. Because I didn't pay attention, exactly 2 years and 3 months into ACN, I was able to walk into my parents' dry cleaners. And I said, "Mom and Dad, today is the last day you're going to work here. No more work here." I've been giving them a check. I've been paying them every single month for the last 8 years because of ACN opportunity. They haven't worked a day. I just sent them on a cruise 3 weeks ago for my dad's 60th birthday party. I've been sending them on a vacation once or twice a year. And I don't share that to brag to you. I just share that to let you know that ACN Opportunity made that happen for me. I got nothing to brag about me. It's all about ACN. Because if you put me at Starbucks, I was only worth $8.50 an hour. Even if I stayed there for 10 years, I would have still been worth less than $15 an hour. But you put me in a vehicle like ACN, I became a millionaire in my 20s, and I'm telling you, if it could happen for me, it can happen for every single one of you. So don't listen to your dream stealers. Let me tell you the next dream stealer you're going to run into, and they're going to come in a form called circumstances. Circumstances is going to happen. Some challenges along the way is going to happen. Some people that you trust, they're going to betray you. Some people that are talking good about you today, it's going to talk bad about you. Some people that you invest your time and energy and effort in, they're going to quit on you. Your neighbors and your loved ones, they may go against. I'm just telling you that situations and circumstances are going to happen. Just like I said earlier, don't look at it as a stumbling block. Look at it as a stepping stone. I've learned a long time ago that every time a challenge comes, every time obstacle comes, it's just an opportunity for me to get better and grow. And I'm telling you right now, all those circumstances will happen to you in time. But when it happens, don't buy into it. Don't let that steal your dreams. One last type of a dream stealer that will come, it's called time. They're going to come in a form of time. Some of you here right now have been with ACN for 2 years and 4 years and 6 years or maybe even 10 years of time. Some of you wanted to get promoted on stage at this convention in Germany. And maybe some of you achieved it, but some of you didn't. My first year in ACN, I wanted to be a regional vice president. I went to the convention. I wanted to be a regional vice president, but I didn't make it to regional vice president. As time goes by, guess what started to happen? I've been in ACN for a year or 2 years, or maybe some of you 3, 4, 5 years. You didn't hit your goals. You didn't achieve the things that you wanted to achieve. So the time is going to start kicking in, trying to steal your dreams. You say, man, I've been here for 3 years. I didn't achieve my goals yet. But that young guy that just got promoted today, he's only been here for a year and a half, and he's a regional vice president. And you hear stories like Marvin, who's only been in ACN for less than 2, 3 years now. He's a Circle of Champions member. And you hear all these stories. You hear all these stories. You say to yourself, maybe it's meant for them, but it's not meant for me. And a lot of people in the world, they let time steal their dreams. Here's the reason why. Because they had an expiration date to their dreams. Make a commitment today and don't let it ever expire. Never put an expiration date to your dreams. Never put an expiration date to your commitment. Be here 12 months from now, no matter what. Be here 24 months from now, no matter what. Be with ACN year 2024, no matter what. ACN right now in 24 countries. In the future, we'll be in 30 countries, 40 countries, 50 countries, 60 countries. ACN will be a multi-billion-dollar company in the next several years of time. Be here when that happens. Be here when that happens. Don't let a single person steal your dreams. You look at an incredible Circle of Champions member like Mr. Jamal, who had a dream and he made a commitment that didn't have expiration date, that didn't have any condition to it. He didn't have a lot of success first few years. It didn't matter. He's here right now. Asos. He didn't have a lot of success first few years, but he didn't have an expiration date to his commitment and his dreams. And he's here right now as a Circle of Champions. And if it could happen for them, it could happen for you. I know you understand what I'm saying, but I know that some people sitting next to you might not get what I'm saying yet. Can you tell the person sitting next to you, If they did it, you could do it too. If they did it, you could do it too. If Asos did it, if Jamal did it, you could do it too. If Mr. Boss did it, if Miriam did it, you could do it too. If Mr. Art Napolitano did it, if George Zellicka did it, you could do it too. Man, I see some future RVPs and SVPs in this room. I see some future RVPs and SVPs in this room. I see too many future SVPs and RVPs in this room. Now, when you make those unconditional, no expiration date commitments to your dreams, here's the reality. Even after making those commitments, even after committing to make it happen no matter what, still this is going to happen. A lot of times, as we go out there and face the journey, and as we go out there and build phase one, and we are building organization, we're doing BOMs, we're doing a lot of presentations, a lot of trainings. Like today, right now, I know our visions are clear, our dreams are clear, but there's still going to be some days it's going to be foggy. I know right now it's clear. I know right now we all see where ACN is going. We all see that with the new compensation plan enhancement, with the new products that we're going to be adding on, ACN is going to be bigger than ever before. You see your opportunity getting bigger, and it's very clear. But along the journey, there are going to be days it's going to be foggy, and you're not going to be able to see the mountain as clear as you do right now. But here's a question for you. If it's a bad weather day, and if you can't see the mountain, does that mean that mountain isn't there? Just because you can't see it, does that mean it's not there? No, there are going to be good weather days. There are going to be some bad weather days. Even if you can't see it, it's still there. Tell the person sitting next to you, it's still there. It's still there. The dreams that you see right now, the vision that you see so clearly right now, when bad weather comes and you can't see it, it's still there. So always remind yourself that it's still there. Here's the last thing I want to briefly share with you. When I was growing up, I didn't like reading books, but I used to love cartoon books. I used to love reading Spider-Man and Batman and all these superhero character cartoon books. And I used to be so impatient that I would read first few pages, first chapter, second chapter, and as you're reading through the book and you see the main character, run into some challenges. And you know that bad guys are waiting right there to wipe them out. And I get all nervous. And by this time, I'm already in the story. I'm like, oh my gosh, like Batman don't know me, but like Batman's my friend, So I'm reading the Batman story, and you know that Joker's right there, and you know the Penguin is right there, and they're all ready to wipe him out. And as the situation gets dangerous, and I used to get so nervous. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen if he dies? And every time I'll get into nervous mode, you know what I used to do? I used to go to the end of the book. I'll just go to the last page and see if Batman's still alive or not. And if he's still alive, I'll come back to chapter 2. I'll come back to page 36, and I used to tell Batman, hang on, bro, you're gonna make it. You're fine. It doesn't matter if they've got machine guns in front of you, you're still gonna make it. The ending of your story is happy ending. You make it alive. I'm here to share with you that your ending in ACN storybook, your success storybook has happy ending. End of your story is a senior vice president. End of your story is financial freedom. End of your story is time freedom. End of your story is freedom lifestyle in all areas of your life. I'm here to tell you that every single one of you will have happy ending in ACN if you stick to it and don't give up and don't let anybody steal your dreams. You're here to make it happen. You can win in ACN. You deserve to win in ACN. Become senior vice presidents. Let's take ACN to become a multi-billion-dollar company. God bless everybody. We'll see you next time.